Can your team ever make it easy?
You know what? No, I mean, you know, I told our group after, I mean, you know what, I honestly, I never felt we were going to lose, even when it was 2-0 and we didn't have anything going. You know, there's a belief in that room that something was going to happen, and obviously Rantanen, you know, put the team on his back in the last 10 minutes. But you know, I think the group's pretty special. I mean, they've had a lot of stuff thrown at them from an adversity point of view, and you know, they keep responding, and keep answering the doubters. And you know, I felt something was going to happen. You know, I couldn't have predicted that. I've only been a part of one other game like that, and that was San Jose, Vegas. We had a 3-0. We were in a 3-0 hole. Game 7 again. You know, but the fact that, you know, I won 2 Game 7s. I've been a part of 2 Game 7s on the right side of that type of game is just it's crazy. It's you know, memories for a lifetime.
Hey Pete.
Hey.
I know you have said you don't like to, you know, let your mind go there, but when you traded for Rantanen on trade deadline day, is this kind of what you envisioned, and just what was it like to watch him take over the game like that?
Yeah, well, you know what, he took over. Let's be honest, he took over the series. You know, the last 3-4 games. You know, he just decided that, you know, that we were not going to go home. You know, and we were not going to lose. And I think it started then. But I mean, that what you witnessed there was special. I mean, you know, this is the best league in the world against one of the top 5 teams in the world, and you know, what he did there down the stretch was special.
Just to follow up on that, Pete, you know, the trade deadline over the years, you've been around a long time, it's kind of an inexact science experiment. Some guys just come in and fit, and other guys need a lot of time. I kind of feel like Mikko's in between. It did take some time, but it feels like he's arrived here.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say he's arrived.
But how does that, in your eyes, how does that work? Like, what do you do?
You know, I think every situation's different, Pierre. I think, you know, we had the benefit of the other Finns in the room, and then we also had the benefit of a motivated guy. You know, this was Colorado and the team that, you know, he had played for a decade, and I don't know all the behind the scenes what went on there, but you know, he was a motivated guy to make an impact in this series, and he just got better and better.
Your blue line in this series without Miro Heiskanen,
Yeah.
and then holding that lead for the final few minutes,
Yeah.
what does it say about them?
Yeah, you know, I thought, you know, Alain Nazardine and that D-core really was, you know, besides what Mikko did, was the MVP of this series. I mean, that core, if you put the names up on the board, you know, there's not a lot of household names there. I mean, Thomas Harley, you know, we had to overplay him because of the situation with Miro out. But those other 5 guys just battled and scratched, and you know, it wasn't pretty. There's not, you know, we're not making a lot of plays, you know, coming through the neutral zone and jumping into the rush. You know, we had to defend hard. You know, what I liked about what they did, you know, we got eaten up in Colorado in Game 4 and in Game 6. You know, just absolutely on our heels, you know, rush chances, and you know, they responded. They locked it down tonight, and they gave us a chance to win. You know, they made them earn the 2 goals they got. They got one a shorty and one on a 6-on-5. We didn't give them anything 5-on-5. We shut down a lot of their rush, and those guys grinded. They grinded hard all series.
When Mikko was in Colorado, he had some of the best numbers in the playoffs ever. But some people said, oh, he's with McKinnon and McCarr.
Yeah.
Where did he show in this series?
Yeah, answer. I think he answered that question. You know, I mean, I told you I've had a lot of playoff runs, and I don't know if I've had I know I haven't had a player string together the 3 games he's strung together, 5, 6, and 7, how dominant, he's been shift to shift.
Just what you think of Jake, obviously tonight and then in the whole series?
Yeah, Jake was great. You know what, he bent but didn't break. Again, I talked about, he might not have a .980 save percentage, but the timing, I've talked about this, the timing of the saves, the one with the goalie out at the end, he has that special ability to raise his game at the most important times, and he recognized that. He recognized we were back in the game. He probably, that second one he probably would have liked to have back, but once we got back in the game, he just decided he was going to shut the door, and that's what he did.
Maybe you said early on you might need overtime in Game 7 to get through the series.
Yeah.
What was it like for you, from your perspective, going through the ups and downs? And
Yeah.
here?
You know what, it was. I mean, when you go through a game like that, you're just numb. You're numb. I'm sure Jared would say the same thing. On either end of it, you still can't believe. It's hard to process what really happened. And obviously a lot easier on my end of it than on his. But listen, that team played their ass off, and he did a great job, I thought, with them, putting them in a position to win the series, and razor thin margins.
Yeah, Pete, you had to go 7 in the first round last year. Doing it this year without Miro, without Robertson against this team, with the kind of losses you have, did this just feel like a tougher hill to climb?
Yeah, you know what, Tim, last year getting Vegas, I mean, we're not getting any breaks. I thought Vegas was a better team last year than the one that won the cup, deeper team. They had added Hurdle and, a bunch of deadline guys, and that was a war, that series. So, but, to take the 2 guys out of our lineup, what they mean to us, in every facet of how we play, and still find a way for the group to not use it as an excuse and to keep battling and to grind. And I couldn't be prouder of our group, because we had to do it a different way. I mean, we outscored teams all year. Miro, transitions the puck for us. He gets up into the rush. We look like a different team, with those 2 guys in the lineup, like anybody does. You take, 2 key players out of anybody's lineup, and your team looks different. What I like about it is we look different, but we still found a way, and that's the important part.
Pete, 9-0 now in these Game 7 situations. We know they're not all equal. This one
Yeah.
you had to come back. The last 2 years you didn't have to come back from a deficit. Outside of leaving the arena with a win, what have been the common threads in the night?
Yeah, I think I've said this. I didn't realize it, but I think I read something today that I think 7 of them. I remember one on the road in Florida, double overtime. I think 7 of them have been home games, and 1 in the bubble maybe. I thought I read. So that's real. And I've talked about the importance of Game 7s at home, and the home crowd and the energy they bring. Like I don't believe we win that game if we're not playing at American Airlines in front of the Dallas fans. The juice they gave us down the stretch there was huge. So that's a big part of it.
You don't get a lot of time to celebrate this one. Looking to the next round, regardless of who you play, is there a belief in this team that you can pretty much take on anybody now that
Yeah.
you've gotten past Colorado?
Well, you like to think so. I think there's something special going on. We need to get those guys back, but you like to think so. It sure doesn't feel like we only won 1 round. We're just getting started, because that was an absolute, gauntlet of a series. So, we'll regroup, but I believe there's something special going on.
Pete, I believe Wyatt Johnston has scored in every Game 7 he's played in his
Yeah.
career, and 2 of those goals are clinching goals.
Yeah.
He's so young, what allows him
Yeah.
to be so clutch in those situations?
So clutch, so clutch. And I don't know if you saw the replay, but you know, the pass jammed him and he put it in, like the skill to make that shot at that time of the game, you know, at that age, he's got that, he's special, he's a special player and he wants to be in those situations and he rises to the occasion. You know, you can't teach that stuff.
Do 2 more questions, Mac, and then Jonah.
Coach,
Mac.
we've made a big deal about not having Miro or Jason. Should we expect to see them in games 1 or 2?
I don't know. I consider them both day to day now, but you know, there's still some hurdles. So I think it depends when we start the series, how much time we have between now and game 1. So I'll have a little better idea as we get closer. I believe you're going to see them both play in the second round. I don't know whether it's going to be game 1 or game 3 or game 5.
Hey, Pete, this is a good ender for you. It was almost exactly a year ago that you guys won Game 7 against the Knights, and you said
Yeah.
you already had about 2 to 3 beers when you came out to talk to us, and that you could get a lot done in 48 hours if you had to calm down. The question is, how many beers have you had so far tonight, and how much can you get done in 48 hours?
I haven't had a beer yet, but you guys are holding me up from getting one here. I'm definitely having one tonight. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, the players are exhausted, you know, as a coaching staff, that's an exhausting experience too, but I'll replenish my fluids here and get back at it. Okay, thanks guys.
Thank you.